Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Student Alumni Mentoring Program Kickoff Dinner. My name is Chip Connolly, class of '84, and on behalf of the St. Thomas Alumni and Alumni Advisory Board, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to our alumni mentors for their dedication to this program. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our alumni volunteers. Students, I'm so proud of you for showing your personal initiative and committing to having a mentor for this academic year. We have a strong alumni network of over 105,000 Tommies, and we are so excited to connect you with a mentor who was once in your shoes. Please join me in a round of applause for our students to committing to this program. So let's begin the evening with a prayer of St. Thomas Aquinas. Grant, O merciful God, that I may ardently desire, prudently examine, truthfully acknowledge, and perfectly accomplish what is pleasing to Thee for the praise and glory of Thy name. Amen. At this time, I would like to welcome Jessica Etten from the Alumni Engagement Office to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. Feel free to keep eating because the line was long and it took some people a long time to get through. My name's Jessica Etten. I am in the Alumni Engagement Office, and so I just wanted to first start off by saying thank you to all of you for being with us tonight. It's been an interesting year with our mentoring program with the launch of our new Connect platform, and maybe some of you loved it and maybe some of you are tearing your hair out because technology can be frustrating at times. But thank you for your patience, and we've learned a lot as a staff here too, so we hope next year is going to be a lot smoother than it was this year. But we have some great numbers to report. We have over 1,400 participants in mentoring this year through various programs. There are 815 connections that have been made through that platform and 660 long-term mentorships. So we've got lots of great mentoring activity happening, and it's so important, and really glad that you're here to participate in it. So tonight, we have a panel that will be coming up in these chairs up here and providing you with some tips on how to make the most of your mentorship. Our panel consists of 2 of our illustrious students and 2 alumni who have participated as mentors in the program. So you'll have the opportunity to hear some stories from them, some tips, and then also to ask questions. So we've got some microphones floating about. If you raise your hand, someone will probably come to you with a microphone. Feel free to do so. Otherwise, I've also got some questions here that I'll get us started with, but would love to make this an opportunity for you to ask what's on your mind. So could I ask Katie and Hannah and Jessica and Chip to join me up on stage here for our panel for the evening? We're making Chip do a lot of walking tonight, up and down and up and down. So maybe we could start by just going down the line here and having each of you say a little bit about yourselves, your name, your class year, your occupation or your major if you're a student, any years of experience you've had in the program, and one memory or key takeaway from your experience in SAM.
Hi, I'm Katie Newmeyer. I'm a sophomore at St. Thomas this year. This is my second year participating in the program, and I'm a double major in finance and leadership and management. A key takeaway for me last year was my mentor had me perform a financial analysis of a company he had worked for, and it was my first semester of freshman year. I was in no business classes and had no idea what went into a financial analysis. So through that and through the research and analysis of the company, I confirmed my interest in finance, and now I'm majoring in finance. I'm an intern in alumni relations this year, and thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Hannah Inc. I am also a sophomore this year. I'm double majoring in finance and economics. It's my second year in the program, and I am currently the intern with the Alumni Relations Office. One of my biggest takeaways from last year is with my mentor, we went through all of the positions that she had on her resume and kind of talked about what she did in each position, why she moved to the next one, and different skills that she learned in each one, and that was really beneficial to me.
Good evening. I am Jessica Wims, class of 2008. I have two jobs, or I like to call them two jobs. So by day, I'm Senior Marketing Manager at Optum, which is a health and wellness company of United Health Group. And then my other role is I actually volunteer on the Alumni Association Board, and I'm Vice President of our Alumni Career Engagement Task Force. So I was a mentor for the last 4 years, and then when I was a student here, I actually had a mentor who I still keep in touch with. So my best advice for all of you is that you can still keep in touch with your mentor. You can continue this relationship. It doesn't have to end even when the school year ends.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Chip Connolly, class of 1984. Looks like 1884 sitting next to some of these people. But graduated with a marketing degree. I'm a financial advisor with UBS in St. Paul and been there about 28 years. Been very involved with Student Alumni Mentoring. I think this is the 14th or 15th year. We are participating financially in supporting the program. We donate $70 per touchdown, which 3 years ago was 68, and 2 years ago was 104, and I don't know.
We just
what it
watch
was
the dollar
last year.
signs go up every touchdown. It's awesome.
So year to date,
Thanks, Chip.
we have 50 touchdowns. St. Thomas is 7-1, ranked 4th in the country. Playing this weekend against Gustavus, in case you care to get a little chilly. It's a 1:10 kickoff. My best memory is the first memory. I was at a small room over in Murray Hall, and there was two young women introducing Student Alumni Mentoring, and it wasn't probably the first year, but it was fairly new in the program's start. And just seeing how it's evolved and the professional relationships has been wonderful. I will admit to the students that the alumni all want to be students again. We love coming back here, love the campus. People are driving hours and hours and hours to get here, so I'm really excited to be part of it. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, I have a couple of questions to get us started here, and hoping you guys can decide who wants to jump in first, but we'd love to hear from all of you. Could you give us some examples of conversations that a student could have with his or her mentor that it would be particularly beneficial, or good conversation starters?
Yeah, I think good conversation starters are your major, what activities the students involved in at St. Thomas, and what clubs or outside organizations your mentor might be involved in and not in his or her job, the past jobs the mentors had, career goals of the student, just to get a good background of each other before you start meeting regularly.
Yeah, I'll jump in and also say I think one thing that I find really important is knowing that your mentorship is more than just finding a job or finding an internship. It can extend way beyond that. I had conversations with my mentee about just even her class schedule, like what classes should I pick, which ones would you recommend? Really just any sort of conversation where you're looking for that unbiased third party who's not mom or dad, they're not your friend at school, that can really help you and guide you in your life and in your career.
Yeah, I would say another one more career focused would be working with your mentor on your resume. That was a big thing that I did with my mentor last year, and helping with practicing interview skills and different things that can help lead to a job.
Generally, I would also ask if there's somebody either above or below the person that you're working with, just to get another perspective in the career, hypothetically within a financial firm or within a target, or that you talk to two different people, you're going to get potentially two different views on what the opportunities are.
That's great. Now, somebody brought up, in addition to helping find a job, is mentoring, am I going to get a job out of being in a mentoring relationship?
No, you shouldn't go into the mentor program with the goal of finding a job. Mentor program is much more than finding a job. It's to help you prepare you for your professional career. Yes, in the past, mentorships have led to careers, but don't go into the program thinking that.
Any other thoughts on that front?
Sure. I think it's an extra bonus if you get a job, but I definitely would probably not stay away, but steer you to other conversations that you can have that could be more beneficial than just finding a job. Yes, that's part of like your career. That's going to help you get to that next step. But I also like to think of like, let's say, you're deciding between job offers. Like your mentor could help you decide between those. Or you're looking to apply for 5 different internships. Maybe they can look at those internships and help you determine which one's going to be the right fit. It doesn't have to be about getting that job, but it can help you get a job, maybe not through your mentor, but using them as kind of that resource, that sounding board to find out what's right for you.
I always recommend to leverage the University of St. Thomas. Career development is, for many students, a spot that nobody knows where it is. I won't put anyone I won't ask anyone here, but
there are postcards on the table outside. All of you students who are wondering, pick one up on your way out.
And so I've invited students to really look at St. Thomas versus, I'm going to show up and interview and get a job. And the feedback has been spectacular in regards to that resource. In fact, there's Johnnies that use our website for jobs. So please take all those jobs away from the Johnnies.
I'll also add, I believe the Careers Center is available even after you graduate.
Yeah, that's right.
So just saying.
That's right. Actually, as an alum, you're able to come back and access the career counselors and some of the testing and some of the things that are available as a student. So keep that in mind. What is the best advice each of you has received from a mentor?
The best advice I've received from a mentor is to really get involved. My mentor this year is a CFO at a local company, and she's involved in a lot of outside groups outside of her job with other women executives, other executives in finance. And so she just really encouraged me to get involved at St. Thomas and then after I graduate.
I would just echo that. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice my mentor gave me, and one that I continue to pass on is like, what are other ways that you can get involved or find, different avenues to find skills. Sometimes you may not always get the skills that you want at your job, so you can find those through other ways, through volunteering, other professional development opportunities. So definitely encourage that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with both Katie and Jessica, but also getting as much experience as you can, whether it's through on-campus jobs or internships, and applying for different internships for summer, and being part of organizations that allow you to get experience that can benefit you in the future.
Nothing. Chip has nothing to add on that one. Are there any questions? I have a list here, so I can keep going, but I want to make sure if there's somebody who's ready. Not yet. All right, I'll keep going down my list. So this one's a little bit of we've talked about a lot of the positives of mentoring and the great questions to ask and the great experiences. But have you ever experienced a mentorship that didn't go as planned? Maybe didn't meet your expectations in one way or another. And what happened and what did you do about it?
I've had one dud. And really wonderful student, young woman who was completely saturated with programs, jobs, internships, and so I was terribly underwhelming in regards to wanting the job or wanting the interviewing or will you look at my resume, because honestly, I didn't want to do that. I send everyone to career development. I don't look at resumes because that's not what I do. I'm not good at it. Mine was atrocious. But basically, so I was one and done on the frustrating. But don't let that be the case.
How did you have that conversation about it kind of coming to a close?
Well, it was at Kincaid's. I had the apple salad, and she had the salmon. It's the most expensive thing she could order. And
were you paying?
clearly.
Uh-huh.
And so, and it was just an agree to disagree kind of a deal that didn't do the original meeting, didn't do the subsequent follow-up. I got a couple of requests for the resume. I said, that group's on the 3rd floor or 2nd floor, wherever the heck career development is at St. Thomas now. And, but let's meet. And I brought a operations person, a female, a wonderful gal from UBS, as part of the education or sharing it to potentially have this person connect with her. And it was another strikeout. So we just kind of wished her the best. And, if things changed, I was still available in regards to questions and things, and just did not hear. It was good lunch.
I'll just echo Chip a little bit in that I think just being prepared for your meetings as the mentee and coming in and knowing that where you want to go with this mentorship and where you can take it, because I'm sure your mentor is willing and able to take it to wherever you want to, go with it. But coming prepared with questions, knowing where you want to go. Like, I had a mentee who already had a full-time job lined up after college. And I think that's where she thought, oh, I'm done. I don't necessarily need you, but I kind of want you, but I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about when I show up at these meetings. And that's not helpful to anybody. So making sure that you know what you want to get out of this and having those questions prepared ahead of time, I think will really help you and benefit your relationship.
So that sort of feeds into this next question I had, which is how can you be a good mentee and how can you be a good mentor? So you started with as a mentee, be prepared, come in with, what is it you want to get out of the mentorship? But what other, on the mentee side, what are some of the other things you can do to be a good mentee?
I think communication's key. Like, I feel like you can't, I haven't met a mentee who's over-communicated. That hasn't happened. So I think communication's key, following up, saying thank you, goes a long, long way. You'll be surprised how long it'll take you.
What do you think, Chip?
I think it's energy in is the energy you're going to get out. And I feel that that's the biggest thing I can tell you is to get involved. And if you learn nothing, that's going to be your fault. Not to say, by comparison of these people up here, I'm probably not the best mentor in the room. I have excitement. I have a handful of ideas that I run with, but mostly it's to point the person that I'm working with in a direction that they want to go and then kick them in the butt to do it. There won't be a job without you doing something. There won't be a job without you networking. There won't be a job without interning. Now, I got a job. I went to career development, took the card off the board, and I was hired. I don't know that that's going to happen today. So I feel if you work hard, regardless of the direction, you're going to be rewarded.
How about our mentees up here? What makes for a good mentor?
I would say a good mentor follows up with communication like a good mentee and just is open to any questions. Just really comes prepared to kind of let the mentee guide the relationship, I would say. Let your mentee focus on what's best for them, but then also lead them in the right direction.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything Katie said, but definitely just being somebody that your mentee can kind of ask anything to about your college experience, your future, and just kind of be that person that can help guide them in any kind of situation.
So to the mentors up here, could you describe how having a mentor, whether it was formal or informal, I'm guessing, Chip, yours have been maybe more informal since this program didn't exist back when you were here. But can you talk about how a mentor has helped you in your career? Maybe even after you were a student, but as you've been in the professional world.
Yeah, I can start. So I had been in my role for a while, and I was looking to change jobs. And I was really reluctant to do so because I liked the team I was on. I really liked the role, but I wasn't really confident to take the next step. And so I had still kept in contact with my mentor here at school. And so I asked her, I texted her, like, do you have time for a phone call this morning? I need to talk to you. And I called her and I was like, what do you think? You know, here are the pros and cons. And she really helped me like guide that conversation of like, I think you should take this next step, or, you know, I don't think you should. It was just really helpful to have a sounding board, again, that unbiased third party who's not your parents, they're not your best friend, but they're really there to help you and guide you. I think that's like the value that you can get out of this mentorship, is that you can continue it well beyond you being in school and into your first job, and continue beyond that as well.
I had great mentors. They just weren't at St. Thomas. My grandfather was a locomotive engineer. He worked 16-hour days. My dad was a locomotive engineer. He worked 16, 14, and 12-hour days. And as I went to college, my dad said, you know, you can visit the railroad, but you're not coming back here. So at St. Thomas, I played football. I was out for track. I was blessed to be with some great coaches, namely Mark Deanhart, who was a phenomenal person and terribly organized. We knew every practice what our agenda was going to be because it was on a 3x5 card in the neatest penmanship every day at 3:15. And while that wasn't a big thing while I was at St. Thomas, it was a big thing since St. Thomas, because I've always had an agenda for my day. I quickly got into the sales career, and basically at Drexel Burnham there was 40 advisors. There was 15 old guys, and there was the balance of really young guys. And the young guys kept turning over. So I, about 4 months into an 8-month program, offered to buy lunch for these old guys. You know, they were 40. And basically for $7, $8 and 20 minutes from these 10 guys, I got all the pearls. Do what's right, work really hard, blah, blah, blah. All the easy stuff. But basically, today, the short answer is look at a successful person and do what they do. I love plagiarism outside of an academic arena. Mm-hmm. And so from the standpoint of if you see somebody that you respect and that you want to do what they do, or act like they do, or be successful like they do, or be charitable like they are, that's who I would pursue.
I feel a question somewhere in the room. All right, I see it over there. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently as a student?
You got something?
Well, quite a bit. I mean, I showed up knowing everything. I'm the fourth of four. I'd been told everything all my life, so I showed up at St. Thomas pretty sure of how to graduate college. But while I was here, I did not utilize the facilities. I did not go to career development. I bounced. I drove forklift. I broke up cement. I did everything that was physical instead of mental. I did not intern. I couldn't spell intern. But basically, I mean, without a doubt, school is expensive. Tuition doubled in the 4 years that I was here. It went from $380 a credit to $620.
And nobody in this room is feeling bad for you.
That wasn't $3.80. It was $380. So anyway, but I really would tell you that there's some awesome tools here that I did not take advantage of. And I'm pretty sure, based on the size of those offices that have 3 or 4 people for 6,000, that these resources are still not being taxed. So that would be my recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Jessica?
Yeah, I feel like my answer is going to veer off path a little bit in that I was a post-secondary education, so I went to college in high school. So when I got here, I was like, well, I guess I'll just do this in 3 years and call it a day, which I did. But that's where I encourage my mentees to take advantage of being in college, because you don't get this time back. And as much as we're up here, you're here because you chose to participate in this mentorship program, which is the right path and what you should be doing, but also don't let it overwhelm you and all these things that you should be doing, and really appreciate the time that you do have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have other questions? I see one over here.
I think definitely kind of having an in on the best programs and activities and services that you should be involved with at St. Thomas. Maybe your friends don't know about the Career Development Center or different programs St. Thomas has to offer, and that's something that you can share with them that you might have learned from your mentor.
Yeah, I think definitely everything that was super beneficial about having a mentor and the importance of growing your TAMI network and how that can influence your future is important to share with your friends to encourage them to join next year.
I actually have a question for them. Well, actually for all four of you, because you may have experience with this. So if your mentee or mentor has a different career path or major than yours, can that still work? Can that still be helpful? Can you maybe give an example of where you've seen that actually the mentorship kind of transcends the difference in career and or major?
Yeah, last year my mentor was in marketing, but he still had me do a financial analysis of a company he had worked for, and it kind of helped him because he had stock in the company, and from a marketing standpoint, he could learn from it, and then we were learning together. So it was kind of a unique experience where we both got to learn together.
Have your mentors typically been in the career or the general field?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That you've been in?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think once you get into your first job and kind of your career, your path may change. You may not always be in the major that you're in today, or your major may not turn into your job, right? Your long-term career. You may take a different path, and so I think at the end of the day, the essentials are still the same. You still need a job requires relationships, and fine-tuning those things is still going to be something that you're going to need to do, fine-tuning networking, fine-tuning interviewing. You're going to need to still have those skills, those essentials. So I feel like those essentials don't change no matter whether your major and their career is a perfect match. I have a marketing degree, and I deal in financial services. So I've typically had finance students request working together. And I kind of fake it, but I have my son Mick, who graduated here in 2011 with a finance major, econ minor, participate in three of the meetings, specifically to talk about whether they're going to consider corporate finance or personal finance. But again, and I really want to emphasize how important the networking is. And one item that I've shared with all my students, that I'm going to share with all of you right now, is to go back to your favorite professor. You just thought of him, he or she, and you reapproach them and say, you know what, Jessica, you had me 2 semesters ago, blah, blah, blah. And you remember that conversation about the Russian money supply, blah, blah, blah? That really struck home with me. Or take them out for a cup of coffee and, again, say thank you. They're going to love it. Nobody's done it. You can buy them a $5 coffee card. Nobody's done it. And then, oh, by the way, who of your students should I follow up with? Nobody's asked. And
the feedback that I've received from students has been overwhelming. Number one, the teachers love it, which they deserve it. But you have a forever friend, even though you already enjoyed them. These are your favorite professors. And so I would say that, again, in regards to participation, you'd love to be in your major, you'd love to get a job, you'd like to start with a 6-figure salary. You know, what else can we put in there? But it's going to take some work, and I think that this is an excellent venue for that.
What other questions do we have out there? Yeah.
This is for the mentors. I was just wondering if you were ever in a situation where you were kind of giving advice that contradicted what an advisor, another mentor, or a parent had been talking to their mentee, I guess, or student or child about. And just kind of, if that's happened, how did you navigate that? And how did you still remain a third-party unbiased opinion, but also, you know, not kind of get on the bad side of the parent, for instance? And if you haven't been in that situation, what would be your advice?
So just to repeat the question, it's as mentors, have you ever been in the position where the advice maybe being given to your mentee by a parent, an advisor, a faculty member is different than maybe the advice you might have given? Or as a mentee, did you experience that? And how do you handle a situation like that?
Yeah, I think you having your own personal perspective, your opinion, I think you can frame it up that way. Like your advice is still valuable, whether it contradicts, you know, someone else in their life and what they're telling their child. I think that's up to them for the student to figure out like what makes the most sense for them, but at least they're getting a broad picture. They're getting other people's perspective and not, you know, just having, you know, one opinion.
No.
Never happened to you?
I really officially don't talk about politics or religion. And so in the context of conversation with students, male or female, it's what are their goals. And I do really encourage, I'd say at least half the students I've worked with, their parents are business owners. And I've asked, have you had this conversation with your parents? And all of them said no. And so, you know, you've got to take that mask off the fact that your parents are your parents and that they're successful business owners, and that's a treasure trove of information that, hey, mom or dad, or Bill or Nancy, however you want to, you know, make this less loving. If you were me and you weren't paying my tuition, what would you recommend? And so we've had a conversation about majors, and I have instructed everyone to just go back to their advisor, because honestly, if you need to drop a class or need an extra one, it's terribly expensive. So I don't want to be that person.
Do you guys have any experiences to add to the discussion? No? I think we have time for one more question. Do we have one more question out there? If not, that's okay too.
I'm going to ask a question.
Uh-oh.
And your input would be greatly appreciated. So I've been trying to grow this program literally for 15 years and had at least 15 different breakfast, lunch, or dinners with heads of business groups, Barbara Schenk, Susan Huber, Glenn Crusoe, Dean Weiskopf, all great, great, great folks. And so we've got this 800 plus matches. We're up from last year. Round numbers, we're at 13% participation among students. Well, that's great. It's up from 10. It's up from 7. It's up from 4. It's up from what was terribly embarrassing. But it's 13%. And I have not talked with one person in 15 years that said, wow, that was a shitty deal. I mean, students have really enjoyed it. I mean, the worst day, it's pretty good. So my question is, what would be the best avenue to share this wonderful secret with other students? Because that's what we need. Is the students need to participate for the alums to be bugged to participate. And I'll shut up.
Any ideas? Back of the room. That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Thank you. Can I ask another question?
We've got a couple other ideas. Okay.
This may completely already be done, but kind of like Chip was saying, where you plagiarize or like try to be like someone
Mm-hmm.
In your career or in your future. Going into classrooms would be awesome, but maybe going as a mentor and a mentee as a pair and seeing that. Because I always think about that, like, oh, I want to be like her, I want to have their job, or how can I get there? And if they see a mentee and a mentor that have wonderful conversation and are excited to be in that room and have had these wonderful coffee dates, or I think it could come to life. And students there might be like, wow, like I want something like that.
Yeah, that's great. I think we had one more hand raised. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
It's, if you're able, it's a treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And just make it even more relaxed and, I don't know, cool environment, maybe off campus, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of those people that can totally come into the classrooms. I build the entrepreneurship program a lot and speak, and so I'd totally be willing to give up my time for students who want to hear and be a part of this program.
Great, thank you. I think we're basically at our time. We wanted to make sure we give everybody time to kind of finish up. Grace has a few things to say to kind of tee off the next part of our agenda here. I want to have a special round of applause for our panelists here. Thank you for being with us tonight and sharing your stories, and we really appreciate it. Grace.
Hello, everyone. Like Jessica said, my name is Grace Winker, and this will be my second year participating in the Student Alumni Mentoring Program. Like all of you, I'm excited to connect with my mentor and hear their story. Tonight, we will provide you with an opportunity to do just that. The rest of the evening will be a time to get to know each other. If you need a conversation starter, we have got you covered. There are 2 handouts on your table. One is a conversation starter sheet, and the other is a goal and expectation guide. To get the most out of your mentoring experience, we strongly recommend that you discuss expectations and goals for both the mentor and mentee. Lastly, set a time when you will connect next. Feel free to get creative. In-person meetings, Skype, email, and a phone call are all great forms of communication. If your mentor or mentee is not here tonight, no worries. You are currently sitting next to other individuals. Introduce yourself to your neighbor and expand your St. Thomas network. I want to thank you for participating in the Student Alumni Mentoring Program and attending the Kickoff dinner. We hope that each of you have a rewarding experience in this program and learn from your mentor or mentee. Feel free to reach out to the alumni office if you need support in your match. The door is always open. We look forward to working with all of you this year. Have a wonderful evening and drive safely.